with Over the Edge. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this with us. Today we're going to talk about sponsorships and what is working, what new challenges you may have come up with or you've faced recently. And the goal of this is a little different from our past webinars where we kind of showed you a lot of slides and talked to you. We really would like this to be a collaboration. So we'd love for you guys to share what has worked, love for you to ask questions, just the general overview, of our best practices that I know you guys have seen. But, if you can, see people in person, ask people personally, and then follow up with the sponsorship packages or have it with them that are with you, that works a lot better than just, sending them something over email that's, unsolicited, because then, a lot of times it's going to disappear. Always keep it focused on you and your mission. It is really cool that it's a repelling event, but what is going to make them, send you money and write a check is to help you and help the community. So make sure you always tie it to your mission so that you can continue to grow and get people coming back from that. But does anyone on the call, we can start off with any questions about sponsorships. Does anyone have any questions? And if not, does anybody want to share things that have worked for them and what your goals are with questions or with sponsorships? Anybody?
I can start.
Okay, perfect.
So my name is Julie, and I'm with Pace Center for Girls in Polk County, so in Florida. We're a city that's right between Tampa and Orlando. So we don't have a rock climbing gym, and that's a thing that our board members or committee members that are a part of our sponsorship committee, they're trying to find like a group of sponsors or a niche of sponsors that we could ask besides our traditional ones. Has anybody had any success on maybe like a local runner club that do like ultra marathons? Because that's a little wild, and so is rappelling from a building. Has anybody had any success with that?
I was going to say, and just unmute yourself if you have a response for Julie. Okay, so I will start with that. The runners groups and the gyms and things are great. And this is just my experience and from what I've heard, so anyone can please correct me if you've had other experiences. But a lot of times I haven't noticed a huge impact with the climbing gyms. You might get one or two maybe, but a lot of times they're kind of already doing their own thing, and our event is so safe, which everything is, but that a lot of times it's not necessarily their forte of going out of their gym. And again, that's why we want you to tie it to the mission. A lot of times you get more with people that are already engaging in your organization, as well as, other groups. So yes, where groups are great, and I would definitely reach out to them. I think that in my experience and what I've heard is that it's not that you're, in a really bad place that you don't have them, because you don't usually get a whole lot from them. Anyone want to correct me if I'm wrong, or anyone experience different things?
This is Kristen with Canines for Disabled Kids. Forgive me, my camera's not cooperating, so you can't see me, but I would just say that our experience echoed what you said. We have several rock climbing groups. I mean, we have scouts who do rock climbing and ice climbing and all sorts of stuff. It's a significant recreational activity in our area. But when it came to recruiting participants, we got squat because they're not interested. It's like the questions I got was like, well, why aren't we doing the bigger building? I'm like, because we're not, okay, because this is the building we're doing. We did get a couple of ropes volunteers who are experienced repellers and climbers, but they came to us because of our mission and happened to have that experience, which made them phenomenal ropes volunteers, right? Like they showed up with stuff and said to the OTE team, do we need to use any of this, or do you have your own stuff? Because we came because we didn't know, because it was our first year. So we had some cool volunteers come out of experienced rappellers, but not out of a club. They were people who were already interested in what we do. The interesting thing for us, though, was that we have some volunteers who are attached to a sporting goods store that sells rock climbing equipment and snowshoes and all sorts of other stuff, right? Their corporate is not attached to us, but the local store, which has people who are already attached to our mission, they sent people, they talked it up. They're already talking about what can their location do for our event, our next event, because they felt like, oh my God, we should have done so much more. So we're not going after them corporately, but we have a connection to that location. And then they're looking to talk it up at their location. So I think sometimes we think too big, like we got to go after, EMS, or we got to go after Dick's, instead of like maybe the local Dick's. Maybe you've got somebody already connected to you there that can carry you into the local store and pull sponsors or pull participants or whatever. So last year was our first year. But that's how we're going. We're letting the clubs know what's going on, but we're not putting heavy bait there, but we're following our followers. Where are you? Where will you carry us? And that's where we're looking.
Perfect. Thank you. And then that's great with tying in the sponsors on one of the things, and you guys can help me out here with sponsors. I've found that what depends on the sponsors, like it's been really great in a trend lately that it seems like the goal of most organizations is to have their sponsorships cover the cost of the event. That way, everything that comes in is going towards the mission. So, that goal is sometimes higher than it has been in the past. But it also seems to depend on if your organization is an organization that is known in the community for selling sponsorships and educating people, if you're not, that this is something new that you're doing with different sponsors. And that will also dictate the level of how much each spot of a rope volunteer or a landing zone volunteer or a presenting sponsor will go for in each community. So that's something you'll have to base on where you are now, but just different types of sponsorships and, different levels. And I know Mike Green with Tuscaloosa is on the call, and I know that you do a really good job at covering your costs with sponsors. Do you have any, anything that has come up with that or with your strategy? Because I know that that's a switch that you guys did, last year or 2 years ago, where you switched to more sponsors?
Well, we're constantly tweaking. We're working on our fourth event. From the very beginning, we thought it was a very tangible goal to, as you said, try to raise enough business sponsorship to cover all of our costs. What we've discovered is that we always end up a little bit short. I guess because you slow down your momentum when you think you're getting close to the goal. So we normally come up a few $1,000s short of that goal, which makes me wonder if we just raise the goal a little bit higher, we may get to where we need to be. And back to some of the earlier question about finding niches. I'm looking at our list. We're probably 20 different business sponsors. Some of those are in kind, and they're just a real hodgepodge of businesses. Probably half of them had some connection with us already, but we were very intentional to make sure we just weren't moving support from one pocket into another. So we were very intentional to get them to grow their support. So we feel good about that. And then the other half are businesses that really had no connection with us. Committee members connected us to certain businesses. A couple of them had connections to the building. We're in a building that's not owned by the bank, but the bank is in the building that we rappel in, and they've come aboard as a sponsor. But yeah, we've tried gyms. I'm not sure rock climbing is huge in our area, but gyms and these sort of wild obstacle course races. We have people that do kind of stuff like that, and we've not, whether that's edgers or sponsors, we've not found any momentum as of yet in those niches. So we've sort of just gone wherever our contacts have taken us to.
I'd like to comment on that. Based on what a lot of people said, I agree with a lot of practically everything you've said. But I think we're in are we coming up to our 7th time now? I think, Michelle?
I believe you are. Plus, you had
Yeah,
two events in 2021.
Exactly. So because we had 2 events, so this would be like 6 years, but 7 events. So December of this year would be, I'm in Miami, by the way. So one thing that I have noticed, number one, that gym thing did not work for us. I mean, we've tried so many different things and failed at so many different things. But in the end, we've really, I would say that we've had very successful events, and in my mind anyway. And I think that no matter where we are, no matter what the demographic is, what I have found that everyone will have in common, whether you go to a printing shop, a barber shop, a big corporation, whatever, the thing that makes that we sell is we've stopped selling the idea of it being a repelling event. We really focus on what their sponsor dollars can do for our kids. We work with at-risk kids, and you know what? It's like, for example, we have a lot of repeat sponsors, or repeat repellers, and they'd be like, "Oh, I've done it before." Plus, we haven't changed our building, so it's the same thing all the time. So what gets them to come back, both repellers and sponsors, is we tell them, this is what your sponsor dollars will do for our kids at every level. And we put that in the sponsor packet. Like the biggest sponsor that we have would give, for example, would help us to open more ministry sites, you know, and then we go to like the lowest one, which says things like it helps us to buy snacks, you know, when we have one-on-one mentorings with the kids. And then, so that would be something that I would say, I mean, I remember when I first came to OTE, they said that they drummed it in, but I think we get so caught up in the whole excitement of repelling that we took off. It's like we ignored what they said. Focus on the ministry, And then eventually it worked, you know, so that's what we do now. And the second thing I want to say about those other small companies, not small people, the small companies, like maybe a little gym or something, we also sell, we call them, I forget the word, but bottom line, what we do is we sell them a table, like they can come, they have a spot, we give them a designated area, they set up their tables, their banners, whatever they want to do. And it really doesn't cost us anything. I get a banner if and sometimes most of them say, no, we'll bring our own tablecloth with our stuff on it. So, which is fantastic, which means I don't even buy a banner. But, and then we make all the little money, you know, with that covers a lot of stuff. I mean, it might only be $250, but hey, I got all this empty space over there. So why not just use it up? And they also get to promote themselves. And there was something else I was going to say. I knew I should have written it down, commented on something that someone else said. But if it comes to me, I think I'll share it afterwards. But I think focusing on the mission is the key, because then you hit every demographic and every business, from the young to the old, from the active to the non-active. Our ministry anyway pulls on that, on what they want to do for the kids. So that would be my most, I think, what I would say.
This is Kristen again. Can I just tag on, because you said something that made me think, like, of course, this is what we should be doing, right? Is focusing on our mission, who we are. We really build ours. We work with disabled children and service dogs. So we really build this as an empowering thing. Like, you do not have to be able-bodied to rappel off a building, right? I mean, we didn't have anybody go over in a wheelchair on our building, but literally my tag was like, they take people over in their wheelchairs. So what's your problem? Why can't you, and I had diabetics go over. I have multiple sclerosis. Like, that was that was how we build this, was like, this was an empowering experience. And we put some of our kids went over and we put them up, and people sponsored them, which was amazing. But one of the things that came up when you were talking, when we talk about mission and making this part of our mission, my accountants were thrilled, okay, because this is now not just a fundraising event. It's not just your overhead. And I don't know how many of you deal with overhead, but I'm the exec for my organization, so overhead is critical. And as a nonprofit, if we're not keeping our overhead as low as possible, people don't want to give us more money. So if you can defer half of your cost for this fundraiser as a promotional educational piece that you do that's tied to your mission, talk to your accountants. They shifted half of our cost for this event, shifted off of overhead as a fundraiser and into program services, because of how we were able to market this and promote this and educate people while we were doing it. So, you know, I know from my small nonprofit, that's critical. And so that's another, as you were talking earlier, I went, oh my gosh, I meant to mention this. Moving it and focusing on your mission helps you to make this depending on what you do for your services, helps you to make this program oriented and not overhead exclusive. So that can be a major difference for your 990s and your bottom line when you're filing.
Hi, my name is Theresa Gaspar. I'm a director for Paralyzed Veterans of America, California chapter. And you, I don't know, but we're all in wheelchairs, and we did rappel off of the Hilton. The Hilton actually gave us that location, sponsored us for the location. We did in the Hilton. So that was 14 feet. I mean, it's the highest. It's in Long Beach, California. So even veterans in wheelchairs with spinal cord injuries, you know, we, like you said, we didn't focus on, oh, it's a rappelling event. It's veterans going over the edge with the wheelchair. No, it was about the money going to help support more veterans, and both educational, yearly grants for them to go do things. And I'm a member as well as director. So I'm like, oh, okay. So just FYI there. We also did, and it was fun.
And that was an amazing event to see with so many wheelchairs. It was by far the most amount of wheelchairs we have ever done at an event, and I know that you guys are going to grow it this year. But I just wanted to put a disclaimer out for everyone. Yes, we can handle all types of disabilities. We have a form that you can fill out for anyone that has any kind of medical illness, any kind of. Sometimes there's people with a port. Just make sure we're aware of that so we can set a plan. And not all buildings can handle wheelchair rappels, so we just need to make sure that your building can accommodate anything. So just that's just a sidebar. Any special rappels, just let us know so we can set a plan, because the last thing we want is for someone to sign up and raise money and be excited, and then we can't make it happen. And so just make sure we're aware. But those are all great points on sponsors. I don't want to get away from sponsors. Are there anything that came up with that conversation or any other questions?
Hey, Michelle, I'd be interested in knowing what the different the dollar sponsorship levels the others are at. Our business sponsorships run from $1,500 up to $10,000. If we find one or two on the 10,000 level, we've done really well. Usually it's been one, so most of ours are in that $1,500 to $2,500 range. And we're possibly a smaller town than some of these other cities, but I would be interested in what their sponsorship levels are.
Definitely. And say, can you guys share that? Because I know it's different for everyone, but that would be great to know, because we get that question a lot on what are other people's ranges.
Yeah, I think sometimes we hear, I mean, you think Miami is a bold city, right? But it depends on who's running it, and I'm not a bold person. So When we first started, I remember our first one, I think, was 1,500. I mean, our lowest one. And then the highest one has always been 10. We used to have, we get most of them at, we raised it now. Last time we were at 17, and we have 4 levels. So there's 17, 3,000, 5,000, and 10,000. And we were able to get, at least for the last 2 years, we got 2 $10,000 sponsorships. So it's growing, you know. I don't know if one thing that I guess this would work for everybody, because now everything is social media. So as I said before, our sponsors were more interested in what we were doing with, you know, for our kids as opposed to what they're getting. And we learned that. And so we had to change the verbiage of our sponsorship packet and really, you know, like we throw in a lot of, like, we advertise them on our social media and stuff like that. We do shout outs and stuff like that. But it gets them very excited. I think it just depends on which sponsor you're going after. So it gets them very excited when they think, if they're very, very philanthropic minded, they get more excited on, for example, what they're doing, like for the kids. And then you'll have a $1,700 sponsor that comes on because he wants to promote his gym. You know, so I think it kind of depends on who you're going to and which one they'll take. But what we pumped up was the social media, what do you call it? Promotion. That was something that they weren't interested in, the banners. Most of our sponsors, I would say of all our sponsors, we may get 2 sponsors that actually repelled. I don't know why. I guess, I don't know, down in Miami, people here love water stuff. I don't know what it is, but nobody seems to want to come down a building that much. But it just depends, we have found, on who you're asking, where you can hit that little button that you know would hit that button in their heart to do it, you know. But yeah, our highest has always been 10. And I don't know if it's a new thing, so I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but what we're trying to do now is come up with like a sponsorship packet for the year and call them an annual sponsor and include Over the Edge on that. And we would count whatever that would be a part of the packet. I don't know if any of you would do that, but let's say that you become a sponsor of our company, of our organization on an annual basis, and Over the Edge happens to be that. So that would be like a really large sponsor, let's say 100 grand. And then, which we're being very bold, but we're going for it. And then now OTE becomes a part of that. So it just kind of trickles down in that. I don't know if that is really, you know, relative to what we're saying, but
Perfect. Thank you. Any other, anyone else want to share their level of sponsorships, just for a comparison? We have that Julie, that spoke earlier at Pace Center, they're between 1,200 and 10,000. And then Melissa also posted theirs are between 500 and 10,000. So it seems like no matter where we are, unless like all of our ranges are about the same, anybody different that's lower or much higher, or is that pretty much the window?
Michelle, I'll share that. Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy from Special Olympics Hawaii. We actually start our sponsorships high at 3,000. So we go 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. And one of the reasons why we do that is we try to make our sponsorship numbers and titles across the board for all of our Special Olympics game sponsorships as well as special event sponsorships. So at a 3,000 level, you're a bronze medal. 5,000 is silver medal, 10,000 is gold medal. I will share that we are going to this year try to do a rope sponsor opportunity. So we were thinking about doing possibly 15,000 to be a rope sponsor. And then we run 3 ropes at our event. So we're going to be coming up with a brand new sponsorship package and trying to think of ways that we can make that different from the $10,000 level. And of course, the obvious is we would name that rope after that company and then make sure we always reference that rope in that way with the company name as we go throughout the day. And so that's our sponsorship levels there, a little bit higher.
Perfect. And we just got a question about the Toss the Boss. Does anybody focus on Toss the Boss as one of their sponsorships? And if so, like what level do you put that in, and how does your Toss the Boss sponsorship work?
Hi, Michelle. I don't know if y'all can hear me. I've been having trouble today with my camera and with my Zoom dropping, so hopefully it'll hang on for me. But I'm Jennifer in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and our levels range from 1,000 to this past year we had a $25,000 match donor, and he ended up giving us $30,000. So we were very fortunate in that way. I don't know that we'll ever have that much luck again, but he was great, and that really helped build our momentum. You know, he really challenged our board. He, I think, had given, gosh, I can't remember. I think it started as a $10,000 match. And he said, ask your board members what they raised last year and tell them that was pathetic. I mean, you know, he was just real funny in that, you know, tell them if they can raise 25, I'll match it this year. So that really helped us build momentum and raise new monies. The Toss the Boss we have done. We've had some success with that, but you know, sometimes it would be that the company wanted to send the boss over, but the boss wasn't too fond of the idea. So we started Fearless Leader. It's a $1,500 sponsorship meant to recognize leaders in the community, and we give them a cape to wear. So it's like a community service hero, or, you know, someone who's involved, or just, you know, the company wants to recognize for their community service. And that seems to have gone over pretty well. We've even had a child do that. I think he was 16. So that was neat to see. And that's probably an area we haven't done enough of, is recruiting teens to go over. I think we've had a few. We have had luck with schools as well, encouraging schools to raise money and send their principal over. We offered as an award a field trip to the event on VIP Media Day to watch your principal go over. And that was extremely fun. I think we brought out like 650 kids on the VIP Media Day, and they got to see their principal go over. Also school leadership, like the superintendent in our area went over, and one of the school board members at the same time. So that was good. The other thing we've been really successful with is media sponsorship. Last year, we had a local ABC affiliate give us about $55,000 in coverage of our PSA. And that really makes a difference to your sponsors. I think it really helps you get the word out and get other sponsors to want to participate. But it's certainly about the mission. You all are just right on about that for sure.
Perfect. And Jackie checked in on the chat line and also said they do a version of Toss Your Boss, but they to encourage law enforcement and build their law enforcement bond, they do like Toss Your Chief. So they don't necessarily put it towards a sponsorship. They said they haven't had a lot of luck with that, but kind of like be the fearless leader, but tie it towards police as well. And I know I've heard people do first responders as well with that same concept. But that's perfect. Do we have other questions? You guys I appreciate this because we really want these to become you guys all collaborating and getting more out of this, because again, you know, yes, I used to host one of these events. I put one on before I started working it over the edge, but it's been a while. So now I rely on what you guys tell me. So if you guys can hear it firsthand from each other, that's perfect. So, you know, any other, any questions, any comments, anything that you'd like to share?
Michelle, this is
Yes.
Lori from the Child Advocacy Center. And we started out, wanting to be really lofty on our sponsorships. Like our lowest one was $2,500 and our presenting sponsor was $20. And we filled several of those, but it was also COVID years and those sorts of things. And lots of businesses were coming in about that, wanting to do about the $1,000 level. But we were saying it's $1,000 for a repeller, that's what they have to raise. And so we were trying to differentiate between, peer-to-peer fundraising and corporate fundraising. But if that's the amount that a business wanted to do, we created a, sponsor a repeller sponsorship. And so then with that, we work with law enforcement and children's division and then some of our staff at the Child Advocacy Center. So what I did was challenge them if they would raise $500 that I would match it with a sponsor. And so it got more of our team members kind of involved. And if somebody sponsored, a sponsor, a repeller at 1,000, you actually got to help 2 people, be able to repel, and then they raised the other 500. Because with that peer-to-peer, obviously those circles of their influence go out. The more people you got involved to promote the event just helped us spread our mission and things too. So that was what we called something under 2,500 was sponsor repeller.
I love it. I love how you split that, because that makes it easier where you're still getting the 1,000, but it gives someone the opportunity that if they don't quite hit their goal, you have almost a an unsung hero that is going to help them finish up their goal. So I really like that idea.
Because a lot of people think 1,000 is a lot, but if you post it and you get donations, because then sometimes we had people raise the 1,000, and so we were above the mark. So it worked out in our favor.
Perfect. Any other different types of sponsorships that you guys have found have worked for you? I know we mentioned rope and we do the landing sponsor a lot of times, but was there anything that you guys have done that's kind of a little different spin on one of the sponsorships that has worked in the communities?
So hi, this is Melissa from Girl Scouts of Northern Illinois. This year we are doing a helmet sponsor, and so we're only allowing 3 businesses to participate because we're gonna get their logo on like a decal that is easily removable, and then it'll go on each helmet. But I think there's only enough room for 3 decals, so we're gonna do that. So far we've only sold 1, but it's better than nothing. I had a question though. Somebody, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, said something about how, I think it was you, Sonia. You said that businesses were interested in what you were doing, not what you could do for them. And I am finding the exact opposite happening. Like they're like, "What else can you do for me?" And I'm like, "Partnering with the Girl Scouts is awesome," and I tell them like, "Yeah, I'll put your logo here, and you can be on our event site, and you'll be on our T-shirt, and you'll be here and there, and you can come to the event, and we have local TV station and local radio for our media partners." But like, they're still like, "Yeah, what else are you gonna give me?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
That's a good question
I don't
on
have
what you're
that
offering.
problem. That would be hard. That's actually a question that, because that would be really hard if they came at us with that, because that was a question I actually had, which might help you. I wanted to know what people were offering their sponsors. I was curious. Can anybody say the things that they offer?
Hi, this is Rachel with United Way of Southeast Missouri. We found that sponsors like videos. So if you guys know of somebody who makes videos that would be willing to donate just some of their time, it doesn't have to be a long video. Actually, social media likes 60-second or less videos, but giving them also the opportunity to share why they are supporting you, and then sharing that on social media again gives them more exposure and helps the community see that they are supporting a philanthropy in their community.
I'd just like to tag on to what Rachel just said. We partnered with our local business journal and to do a series of advertisements. And so it gets our logo out there, and then the company, like a spokesperson, will say, "We support the Child Advocacy Center because," but since we're a nonprofit, they let us, we'll let the companies put their logo in it. And we're hoping that facial recognition, people will notice, oh, that's so-and-so, the president of the bank, we know him, and the bank is doing this, that generates a little bit of stuff too. But we're also hoping that it helps our just awareness campaign in the community, because people are seeing our logo and hearing our name kind of mentioned, once or twice a month between now and our event.
Mm-hmm. Lori, we had a question on chat for you. What benefits do you provide for this sponsor or repeller level?
Honestly, we didn't, because it was after that we printed up all of our sales sheets or sell sheets and those sorts of things. At $1,000 level in Missouri, we're one of the agencies that have neighborhood tax credits, neighborhood assistance tax credits. And so if they donate 1,000, they get a tax certificate of 50% credit. And that's kind of popular with businesses. We did end up adding their logos onto like the volunteer t-shirt, but it wasn't a package that we had created ahead of time. So it was more about, you're helping a repeller, one of our team members, or a detective that specializes in crimes against children and things like that. And so we went with the feel-good benefits.
That's good.
One thing we did this year that we didn't do last year, last time, no, it's not this year, but you know what I mean, the thing we did last time, and we're hoping to build on it, is we actually started to live stream from the event. And we just say things like, thanks to the Cortellis company because of you and blah, blah, blah. So every now and again, we put something out so we can promise that to our sponsors, whether or not they hear it or anything. The thing is, we know we held up our side of the bargain, and it also keeps us out there as the event is going, because we're hoping that like people will actually come by and maybe just decide to. We actually had one repeller. She was repelling, and her mom came with her. And at the last minute, she just threw in another 1,000 and said, okay, my mom wants to go. So, I think that live stream thing really, really helps somehow to getting their name out there, and it keeps us out there as well. Like you said, Lori, whatever we can do to keep it, I think, live and active, it just builds up the momentum and the excitement, I think. So, but we have a resident, a guy who works with us. So he's our resident videographer. So he's good with that kind of stuff. It's not something we'd want to pay for, to be honest with you.
Michelle, this is Tony Vogel here with Seneca Waterways Council of Boy Scouts here in Rochester, New York. It's interesting. We focus, this is our 13th year coming up here Friday, May 13th. We've been doing this thing for a while, and our focus has really been on participatory sponsorships. So we have a lot of corporate, the sales pitch for our teams is really $5,500. Well, actually this year it's $6,000 for a team of 6 to participate, and they can raise that, or the company can donate it. 9 times out of 10, the individuals in the company ultimately end up raising above that goal. So we make out ahead, and a lot of times these companies are getting free visibility, free sponsorship, logo on the t-shirt, website, live stream, all those kind of things. So it helps us from the registration sign-up side of things. And we sell it as a real team building opportunity for local companies. We also do, this might apply to the Girl Scouts, we have a sponsor, a scout level. So we have some of our benefactors that'll give you $1,100, and we find a deserving young person to put in a harness and lean the back over the edge. So that's kind of a fun opportunity too. Yeah, somebody threw that in chat. Yeah, that's our building there, the Kodak building here in Rochester. The other, going back to, I think at the very start, somebody mentioned about gyms and clubs and such. I think, at least in my experience, I think the trick with that is, so we had a local gym, Midtown Fitness here in Rochester, at least one year where we found one of the trainers who would rappel. So one of our past rappellers recruited the trainer, and he had a couple ladies that would sort of follow him around, so they ended up rappelling, and they were able to tap into the network of the club. So it wasn't so much the club itself that wrote a check, but we were able to, I think we made out, quite honestly, a little bit better. And, kind of the same exact model from the country club side. We have this gentleman, Mr. Joe Ayala, Little Joe, who's a 95-year-old bartender. Everybody knows Joe. I'm sure all the Over the Edge guys know about Joe.
Oh, and, I think everyone on this call knows, because we all talk about Little Joe.
Yeah. So, and you can't not give to this 95-year-old guy. I don't think he's going to rappel this year because his health isn't that great. But I think that's the absolute key to these clubs and gyms, is find someone who people want to see repel. You know, we're doing the same approach with golf clubs to see if we can find a pro, and then see if we can get their, I don't know, whatever a student of a pro is called.
Yeah, I'm not sure what a student. Yeah, that's awesome. No, I love that idea. Anything else? Any different types of opportunities? We got a lot of likes. We got on the videos. That's a great idea. Anything that's just different from the normal, you know, logo on the shirt or banner that you guys have seen work, or that you're going to try, or that you have done?
Hi, this is Kimberly from Make-A-Wish, Central and South Texas. And I think this year is going to be our 11th or 12th, possibly 12th year with Over the Edge. And what I've seen with my short time here is we did a drop party a few days prior to our event, and we didn't get a lot of participation from our actual sponsor, the people who we go back to every year and ask for the sponsorship. They wouldn't show up, they'd be busy, or they would send, you know, their team who was rappelling to attend this drop party. Well, last year we hosted a VIP luncheon for all of those contacts that we ask for sponsorships through every year, and it was at the top of our building. They had we just had just an amazing building partner, where the space that we hosted this luncheon in oversaw the rappellers actually going over. We brought in lunch. We had two speakers, our CEO at the time, and our board chair, but it was a very intimate lunch, and it got them to the event to see what they are supporting, to hear about our mission, to hear from a few Wish kids, and it was an hour long. And they also got to invite their staff that they were sending over. They got to invite them up to have lunch too. It was very exclusive and the best turnout. We had so much feedback. But again, these were sponsors who had been sponsoring over the last 10 years. Some of them are repeat and never showed up to the event. So this is like really like our plea on please join us on a Saturday morning. So great turnout. I think we are definitely doing that again this year. We made it all about them. And yeah, that was just something new.
Nice. Perfect. We have about 15 minutes left. So any other questions or anything anyone would like to share on what has worked with sponsors? Any changes in, and I know we're hopefully coming out of it, or we're just also used to it now, but any changes in your ask since COVID started? Have you seen what's different, anything different since then in the way you're going about talking to people and potential sponsors?
I'll let someone else go. Oh, I was just going to say, this is Melissa from Girl Scouts again. So this year we're planning for stuff to actually happen on the block that we close off. Last year we just had like our Girl Scout store and a couple activities for kids, but nothing like major. So I am calling it like a summer safety fair, and we're going to have people there to go over proper, bike safety for kids. So a guy is going to come and bring all these bikes, and kids will get fitted for helmets. They'll get to keep the helmet. And then we're going to have like the sheriff's department come and do talks about safety, especially with like fire and fireworks. And then the park district coming. So we're actually offering like to sponsor that. The drop zone is what we're calling it. And within the drop zone is going to be our summer safety fair. So that's something that we didn't offer last year, hoping that, we'll be able to actually have some fun stuff happening on the street.
Awesome. Any other questions that anybody has?
This is Kayla. I'm in the Quad Cities. Can you hear me? Because I've tried a few times. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So just a couple comments to some of the other things you've talked about. The rope sponsorship, something that we do is we get window clings and we put them on the building as a benefit to our sponsors. It has a motivational message, and the technicians will actually go down and put those on the windows prior to starting, and it has like, you're halfway there, or you're amazing, or keep it up. Just encouraging messaging with the logo of the sponsor. And we have one beside each rope because we have 2 ropes. So just a fun idea. We do a Liquid Courage sponsorship. So prior to the event, we have a social gathering of all of our edgers, and we have a sponsorship for that, where they sponsor that evening. And we provide food and then just some, fun programming, preparing them for the event type of thing, and then promotion of that sponsor at that event. And then in the confirmation email that edgers get, our main sponsors, depending on who they represent, if it's a business, sometimes you can do like coupons or go to the store and you get 20% off. We do that as an offer to our sponsors, depending on what their business is. And then we also have what's called an appreciation sponsor. So during the event, we have inspirational messaging throughout the process. We have signs. We have their logo on things as they're going through the elevators, as they're going through staging, as they're going through check-in. And that is geared towards whoever that sponsor is. And we call them the appreciation sponsor. We have their logos on the floor, floor clings. So those are some other ideas that we do to recognize our sponsors.
I love that idea. How, for like the appreciation sponsors, what, if you don't mind me asking, what is the range of that on what are people paying for those sponsorships?
I think it's like $2,500. And it also includes the bags that the edgers get. So they usually get a bag with goodies in them. And so their name is on the bags that the sponsors are getting, or the edgers are getting, I'm sorry. And then we try to go out and recruit things to put in the bags separately. So for example, last year I got a company and they had the choice of either just providing something or giving us, I think, $750. And then we bought something with their name on it. And we ended up buying something and putting it in the bag, and they loved that idea because they were just giving us the funds, and then we went and bought a branded promotional item to put in the bag. So our plan is to try to build that concept this year because it seemed to work with that one company, and my guess is they'll do it again because they were super, super happy with the outcome. I'm not having to figure out what that was. We just
That's awesome. Okay. Any other, and then someone asked online about where you get the window clings and floor clings. Those are normally just any promotional product company, correct? Local
Yeah,
printer?
we have a graphic design or a printer where they do all of our signage for a lot of our fundraisers, and they do them. So yeah, I guess we have a resource, but any local printer should be able to make them for you. And it's just a fun little, inspirational as they go down. I remember seeing them.
I was gonna say, would you mind sending? You can just send them to me, but just a few samples that I could share on just kind of what the sayings are and things like that, just what they look like. Or if you have them, you could put them in the chat here. But I didn't want to put you on the spot, so you can send them later as well. But I think that's a great idea. Because I noticed in a lot of places they'll even have like the kids make signs as you're going from registration through the process. So in the last few minutes that we have, does anyone have any either last minute questions, last minute things they want to share, or any like the key takeaways of what you got from today? Hopefully everyone learned something or got something out of it that they can take. Any main things that you can think of?
I have another benefit thing that we do with our sponsors. So this year will be our second time doing it, and last year this worked out pretty well. So as the edgers are coming down and they're all taking a picture in our little drop back banner area, we got a cutout of like a picture frame, like a Polaroid picture frame, and then we had all our sponsors' logos on there, and so that way everybody that rappelled, their logos are on every single picture. So that worked out really well, and we got a lot of pictures.
That's awesome.
I love that.
I was gonna say, I'm writing that down.
Totally.
I'll see if I can find a picture of it.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be perfect if you can share that as well. Yeah, I really like that. Some of the things I got was, clearly we know, tie it to your mission. I think it was Sonia that said about, I nicknamed it Vendor Village, but having, vendors on site with extra spaces, just to have more going on, focusing on your mission. I like the sponsorship video to allow both them and you to share, why they're helping on social media, the live stream. I like Mike's comment of don't slow down when you think you're going to hit your goal. Just keep going and pushing through. And then, sticking with the local, and instead of going straight for corporate, stick with your community and branch out from there. But anything else that people got, or anything else anyone wants to share, or like I said, questions in our last couple minutes?
Julie? Hey, Julie, did you charge for those pictures? Because I actually had the same idea that it would be like almost like you get it when you go to the amusement park, and you get a picture of yours. That's what I was thinking. And then they could buy them for like $5. But like with the frame, I love that. So did you charge for that?
We did not.
Okay.
Also something that we did, I know we don't have a whole lot of time. We, just like Julie, I'm sorry, they didn't charge for it. Our idea behind the pictures were awareness and getting what we were doing out there. So we made this really cool backdrop with Over the Edge, and then our logo, like a big canvas backdrop. And then we made a balloon arch that went all the way around it, real festive and cool. Didn't last too long in the wind, and that was a time. But we actually had one of our work iPads, and that was somebody's job. It was to stay in that spot. And they took a picture of the edger, and some had family with them, some had the companies and staff. So they took their picture, and then we immediately emailed it straight to them from our work iPad so that they had them and could share. So it went so smooth. I can't imagine we would ever do it differently now. And then so many people got our pictures, and our logo was on the back of every single picture, was Over the Edge. So just kind of raising awareness and getting the brands out there.
A question I have real quick. Did we find, are you guys, so you're giving the actual photo, or are you giving digital photos, or both?
We emailed digital photos.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just so that it could be shared. Them. Right. Perfect. Yeah, this is a good idea too. Jackie put it on here. If you can have a photographer inside the building at one of the windows or on a balcony taking pictures. I know in Hawaii, Tracy does it where they'll tell everyone, when you're 10 floors down, look, because then people are more comfortable and getting photos of them more relaxed halfway down the rappel. So that was Jackie had made that comment of, putting somebody on the rappel path inside the building or on a balcony taking photos while they're rappelling. And so I like that idea as well.
We did that, and the only problem was the window was really dirty. I'm just going to forewarn you, we've tried it, and I think it is a great idea, but the pictures didn't turn out great. Just whatever it's worth. So if they could clean the windows.
There you go. Window washing sponsorship, Jackie just put. Perfect. Anything else? You guys have been great. Thank you so much for, participating, because I know none of you want to hear the Michelle monologue, so I really appreciate it.
Michelle, this is Beth here, also from Over the Edge. Hi, everybody. I've been listening in. I have a quick unrelated question that I just wanted to bookmark for the end of this. If there's anyone on the call right now who has done a particularly good job of recruitment or finds it very easy at this point, I have a couple of groups that are struggling a little bit this year, so no need to jump out on this call here. But if you have my email address, just maybe pop in my inbox if you are willing to chat with them. If you don't have me, if you could send your info over to Michelle, she can hook you up with me. I just want to push the word out there. I know there is an upcoming webinar on this, but it is a little bit more time sensitive for one of these particular groups. So just putting the word out. It was a great chat today.
Perfect. Thanks, Beth. And thanks for the intro that, yes, our next collaboration series will be the same time, so 3 Eastern. Everyone can do the math because, I'm not good at it. In fact, I was going to start this out with good afternoon and good morning, depending on where you are, and I did not. So good afternoon or good morning. But anyway, 3 o'clock Eastern on February 22nd, we are going to do another one of these on participant recruitment and retention. So again, I'd love to have all of you guys share your thoughts, what works, what hasn't, as we get into that webinar. And like Beth said, let her or me know if you have time in your busy schedules to try to help out some other people that need help with recruiting. Anything else in our, we have a minute left. So any final remarks before we get going until the 22nd?
Thank you for this. It was very informative, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for being on the call, and we did record it, so we will be sending this out. So if you have anyone you want to share it with or go back for notes. I also really like the idea of talking to your accountant about seeing if you can split. That is something that I had not heard before and hadn't thought about, so love that idea. So, all right, well then I will let everybody go. If you have more after the thought, feel free to send some emails or give us calls. But thank you all so much for participating, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day, everyone.
Everybody.
Bye.